Hello, women of virtue, women of integrity, women of worth. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Normal Courses Women Transformation Coaching. And I think I'm going to post this video on Facebook as well. So if you are on my Facebook page, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, Normal Courses Women Transformation Coaching. Happy Women's Month to all of you. Happy Women's Month to all the grannies, all the mothers, all the sisters, and all our daughters. I wish you the best for this month and well the other months to come. Today I want to treat a very sensitive topic, which is radical self-forgiveness, right? I know that on the 9th, we'll be celebrating Women's Day. We'll be wearing our heels, wearing our beautiful garments, dressed to kill. But before we do that, I wish we could just work on the inner self. Check the inner self. Just do a check-in with the inner self, right? That is why I want to talk about radical self-forgiveness. Remember this one thing for this month, at least, well, and the other months. You are beautiful, you are significant, you are worthy, you are phenomenally phenomenal, and you matter. You are beautiful, you are significant, you are worthy, you are phenomenally phenomenal, and you matter. So the best gift that you can give yourself this Women's Month is radical self-forgiveness. If we talk about radical self-forgiveness, we are talking about self-awareness. That is you being aware of who you are and what is happening within you, right? And self-acceptance, that is accepting, the situations that you went through or the situations that you are still going through. That is radical self-awareness. I used the word radical because it is not easy. One person would even ask a question, how do I do that? It is not easy, but it's something that we need to do as women. If you check the Bible in the book of Matthew chapter 6, the Lord's Prayer will say, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive them that trespass against us. My question to you is, have you forgiven yourself? And some of us actually need strength from God to forgive our own selves. There are so many things that we go through as women. There are so many things, so many challenges, so many hurts, so many pains, so many aches that we go through as women. But then I'm going to mention a few things so that we just bring them to mind. Some of us have childhood traumas. There are things, I'm not sure whether I should say some of us or most of us or all of us have childhood traumas. There are things that happened as we were growing up, whether we're children, young, we're preteens, we're teens, and through no fault of our own. It could be sexual abuse in the hands of a family member or an unknown person, physical abuse of any form, verbal abuse, being constantly reminded you're just a girl, you amount to nothing, you're insignificant, all you need to do is just to get married and nothing else, neglect by our parents, emotional abuse, or being bullied at school. A few minutes before I recorded this, I was listening to Nomveliso Mbanga. I think she's a teen coach, and she was talking about the childhood traumas, how difficult it is to deal with them, because at that point, children don't even have a language of expressing what is happening to them. And when you think about that, and those are the things that you carry through to your adult life. So some of us are still carrying these childhood traumas. And for whatever reason, as a child, you will think that it was my fault. That is why we fail to forgive ourselves, because we think it was our fault. So I want to say to you today, says, no, it wasn't your fault. Forgive them and then forgive yourself. Give yourself permission to move on from the traumas. If it means you need to consult, please do that. If it means you need to go for therapy, please do that. But give yourself permission to move on from the childhood traumas. Some of us, it could be unexpected pregnancies. As a teen, you fell pregnant. As a young adult, you fell pregnant. And I mean, the parents were angry, obviously. And sometimes when parents are angry, they'll be saying words that will break you. The unfortunate part of this is that when such things happen, you're a teen mom and your parents are angry with you. Some of us were even chased away from homes. And then you develop the hate for the child or the anger towards the child. This is the child that separated me from my parents. This is the child that made my parents say this, that, and the other to me. So I want to say to us, it's time to go back, dig deep within, and then you need to be aware of that, because it also causes a lot of anger for us, a lot of bitterness. But it's unfair for you as a mother not to love your child because of the way your parents felt, because of the way the community treated you, or the way you were ostracized just because you were this bad girl who fell pregnant as a teenager. So it's time for us to go back and forgive ourselves. Choose to forgive yourself. And if it means you need to go back and talk to your children or your child because of the way you treated them, it's time for you to do that. But I want to say to you, if you had known better at the time, you would have done better. So forgive yourself. It's time for you to forgive yourself. Some of us, it could be unfinished school journeys. You didn't finish your matric, you are a failure. You didn't finish your degree, you are a failure. And when you come back home, everybody, other people are celebrated because they came back with their matric, they came back with their degrees or whatever qualification, and you are back at home with nothing. I want to say to you, if there's a way for you to go back to the institution, do that. But if there's no way for you to go back, look for other things to do. Sometimes even that degree was even not for you. For some of us, it was really, really difficult, and that is why we couldn't make it. So I want to say to you, forgive. Choose to forgive yourself today, but make it a point that you find something else to do. But don't label yourself as a failure, because at one stage or the other, we all fail. But what is important is that you mustn't stay stuck on that place. Accept the situation, move on, correct the wrongs if you can, but forgive yourself. Some of us got married and we got a particular status. If you're married, you're a Mrs. And then life happened, we got divorced. At that time, the word divorcee, it's some sort of a label, right? It's a label of sorts. Sometimes some of us are stuck on that label. Angikwazanga ukubekezela njengabanye, right? So some are still holding on to their marriages. I failed, I'm a failure. And if you allow that label to if you get stuck on that label, sometimes it's not easy for you to move on. I want to say to you, give yourself permission to move on. Forgive yourself. Forgive your spouse, whatever he did to you. Just forgive so that you'll be able to forgive yourself. Sis, forgive yourself and move on. Life happens to everybody, right? Life happens to everybody. Life happened to you as well. Forgive yourself. Some of us get married, and as life progresses, your spouse dies. You lose your spouse to death. And for other people, that feels like betrayal. Why has this person left me? We were married. How am I going to raise the kids on my own? And some of us still have issues. I wish you could have apologized for this, that, and the other. And some of us have issues with the in-laws. The moment your husband dies, the in-laws come and they take everything away from you. And you have to start all over again. And that brings a lot of anger. And you wish you had done things better. I want to say to you, forgive them. And then choose to forgive yourself. Give yourself permission to forgive yourself, because it wasn't your fault. Whatever happened to you wasn't your fault. Please forgive yourself. Some of us, I said I'm dealing with something sensitive. Some of us have buried our own children. And, everybody would say that the worst thing that can happen to any parent or any mother is bearing your own child. And that is the worst feeling in the world I can imagine. So I want to say to us, when such things happen, when such difficult challenges befall us, sometimes we want to blame ourselves. Maybe if I had done this, maybe if I had done that, my child would still be alive. So I want to say to you, as much as it is difficult, it is sad. Sometimes it's not easy to move from that point on. But I want you today to choose to forgive yourself, to choose to forgive the situation, because sometimes it's even not even about forgiving yourself, forgiving the situation that life happened this way. Sis, forgive yourself. With the help of God, please try and forgive yourself. Well, some of us have children who just lost the way and have actually become our own burdens. Some of our children are addicted to drugs or dangerous and illegal substances. And, this makes you question your parenting skills. Was I a good parent? Why is my child involved in this? Was I a good parent? Why is my child not like other children who are already working? Was I a good parent? Why is my child still stuck on whatever thing? So I want to say, sometimes it's the choices that our children make. And it's important for us, whilst we navigate how we're going to deal with the situation, but it's important for us to forgive ourselves and say, I did everything that I wanted to do for my children, but then this is what is happening. So as you navigate that, please learn to forgive yourself. Give yourself permission to forgive yourself. Some of us are struggling with chronic illnesses or long-term illnesses. There is nothing as difficult as being sick, more especially if you're in the workplace. Some people will even say, why is this one always sick? What is happening with the person? And sometimes it's not even easy for you to tell people how you're feeling because of that particular sickness or illness. So I want to say to you, it's just a natural, it's just a natural thing to be sick, right? So it's important for you to forgive yourself. Even if some of the people will mock you, some people will mock other people because of their ailments. It's amazing how some people could be or could behave. But I want to say, if you are living with a chronic illness or a long illness, forgive yourself. Forgive even those who are mocking you and actually move on. Try and move on with your life. Make a choice to move on with your life. Some of us got married and were promised a happily ever after, right? Only to be brought misery in marriage. There are people who are in marriages, there is misery and nothing else. And there are people who are busy asking you, why are you getting out of the marriage? And we always say it's easy to get in and it's difficult to get out. Some of us have reasons not to get out of the marriage because of whatever. But I want to say to you, as you navigate your married life, as you navigate how you're going to live, in this misery, it's important that you forgive yourself. Because sometimes you will think that maybe there's something I'm doing, or maybe there is something that I'm not doing. That is why my marriage is like this. I want to say to you, sis, there's nothing wrong with you. Forgive yourself. As you navigate your marriage, forgive yourself. Okay, I want to say to some of our youngsters, right now, as I'm talking to you, you are in an abusive relationship as we speak. You are in a relationship where you are constantly reminded how useless you are, how you bring nothing to the table, but you hold on because you want to belong. You want to be in a relationship, and for some reason, you want to get married to this person. I want to say to our youngsters who are in toxic relationships, please get out. Please get out of that relationship, because what is important is that you get out of the relationship alive. And you can't go on and marry somebody who is already pulling you down. Get out of the toxic relationship. Forgive yourself for choosing that kind of a relationship or that kind of a person. But you need to get out of a toxic relationship. And please forgive yourself as you continue with your life. Make a choice to leave a toxic relationship. Some of us took a wrong turn at one stage or the other. We took crucial decisions that actually disturbed other people, or we made mistakes that actually caused harm to other people. After apologizing and correcting your wrongs, I want to say to you, forgive yourself. To err is human. We all make mistakes. Apologize and forgive yourself. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is important to realize that you made those mistakes. Some of us were betrayed by our best friends, right? And they caused destruction in our lives. And you feel guilty that this is the friend that you actually chose. I want to say to you today, forgive them and forgive yourself. And some were betrayed by our family members. Forgive them and forgive yourself. So if we talk about radical self-forgiveness, we are talking about being aware of ourselves, tracking our feelings, tracking our emotions, tracking our behaviors, and tracking our actions. And we need to accept these situations which happened in the past or which are happening in the present, right? And this will lead to us digging deeper and then finding healing within ourselves. Remember what I said earlier. Hurt people hurt other people. Wounded people wound other people. But if we make a conscious decision to heal the inner person through radical self-forgiveness, it is going to help us to live phenomenal lives. Without radical self-forgiveness, life becomes an exercise of worry, an exercise of anxiety, an exercise of panic, an exercise of depression, an exercise of discontent, an exercise of discomfort, and an exercise of bitterness. Some of us are bitter. We are angry. We don't even like people that much because of what is happening within ourselves and because of us not forgiving ourselves. So I want to say to us on this month of August, Women's Month, take a journey of radical self-forgiveness and heal your inner person. It is not going to take a day. It's not going to take 2 days. As I say, it's going to be a journey. But let me tell you, it's a journey that is worth your time. It's a journey that is worth it. It's a journey that is worth your energy. So, sis, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Happy Women's Month.